Hi, everybody. It's Matt Scudero with the Credit Research Foundation. I'm excited to have our platinum partner, Experian, with us as we'll be talking about tips on types of scores for best performance of desired outcome. And with that, I'm also excited to have our next speaker, Allison Tixera, speak with us on this topic.
Great. Thank you, Matt, so much for that wonderful introduction. And now I'd like to take the time to introduce the Experian team. With us today, we have John Crickis. He is a senior product manager at Experian, and he is our subject matter expert for scores and portfolio performance. We have Bonnie Garrity. She is a senior sales consultant at Experian, and she specializes in the trade credit vertical. And we have myself. I am Allison Teixeira. I'm a senior product marketing manager at Experian, and I also focus on the trade credit vertical. Before we kick things off today, I wanted to do a quick review of our last session. In our last session, we learned that machine learned models have a 10 to 15% lift over traditional logistic regression models, and the importance of validating your score for performance gains. Today, I would like to talk about score performance and why that matters. It helps with efficiency by focusing resources on the areas that need it most, those gray decision areas. It can help reduce write-offs and delinquency by improving the ability to identify risk, and it helps make faster decisions with the help of scores and analytics. And now I'd like to turn it over to John Crickis, who's going to walk us through the rest of the presentation. John.
Thank you very much, Allie. So as Allie mentioned, a key part of score decisioning is validating the score for your portfolio. So while Experian and others that create models use millions of records, those are going to be a broad representation of American business. And therefore, it's important to understand, how does a score perform on your specific portfolio, which could be different based on the industries that you sell to and the regions of the country that you operate in. So what we have here is an example of a score validation for a blended score. So that's where we're using both commercial and consumer information on the business owner to predict business performance. As Ali referenced in our first session, we talked about machine learned model versus a traditional logistic regression model. So what you see here is three different types of models represented: a machine learned model, a logistic regression model, and a consumer data only model. So that's the consumer score. So a blended model provides, again, both the information on the commercial and consumer data of the owner and is used in the model. You can see that a blended model outperforms a consumer-only model by 50%. We arrive at that by using three measurements of performance. KS and Gini are statistical measures on a 1 to 100 scale. The higher the number, the better. And then the third measure, bad capture for the bottom 20%, that's very intuitive. So here we're looking at what percentage of bad accounts does the bottom 20% of scores capture. And you can see across the board in all these categories, we're getting 50% better performance from a blended model, especially when we use machine learned techniques. Now, when you develop a scoring model, the starting point really is, what is it that you're trying to predict? This can be customized to any objective that you may have. Generally speaking, we're looking at risk models that are going to look to predict delinquency. For example, will a company go 90 days or more delinquent over the next 12 months? Will a business fail, go out of business, default on payments? And that could be over the next 12 months, or recently models have been expanded to cover 24 months. And again, using consumer data of both the commercial data on the business and the consumer data of the business owner provides significant lift in performance. The models can cover other areas, such as fraud, such as collections. They can also predict response to marketing offers. Who is in the market for your product? All models can be specified to your company's specific objective or objectives. And another reason for doing a model validation is to see where you can get gains in performance. So when you look to use a model, you may look at multiple types of models. Many bureaus offer multiple models. Again, you'll have a choice between machine learned or logistic regression. machine learn gives you that extra 10 to 15% boost in performance. It is a relatively new technique, and some companies are still more comfortable with the logistic regression, which does provide good performance. You'll want to validate the scores. That's going to lead you to meet your objectives. Are you looking to speed up your decisions, to make them more efficient? And of course, you want to manage risk. So you can look at all three or emphasize one or two of those areas. And again, we're looking at multiple models. You're looking at predictive performance, especially in a model validation for your portfolio. As you can see here, looking at commercial only score information, so we only use commercial data. The three measurements are there, KS, Gini, and bad capture. And here we have newer versions of machine learned and logistic regression versus a prior version of a commercial model. And again, we're getting significant performance. So doing this against your portfolio will provide you your optimal answer going forward. And with that, I'd like to turn it over to Bonnie.
Thanks, John. So as John said, I mean, it's so important to understand the score performance and really the performance specific to your unique customer base. So the first thing you want to do is determine what you're trying to predict, or what is your objective. Are you looking for risk of slow pay, risk of bad debt, whatever that objective is? Number two, if you're dealing with small and micro businesses, you're tempted to pull a consumer only report for the owner on that business. Note that, and as previous slides showed you, that blended model is going to give you 50% greater performance. So blending commercial with consumer data gives you much better predictiveness and much better performance for your decision making. And finally, third, scores allow you to get a high-level overview of the risk of your entire portfolio. You can then segment the portfolio based on late pay risk, risk of default, or perhaps even combining those two risk parameters and focusing the team on that subset of accounts. So in summary, again, machine learned models are going to give you a 10 to 15% lift off of the traditional logistic regression models, gives you better insight into your customers and ultimately better decisions. The benefits of scoring really are to help your team assess the risk of the portfolio and then really manage that risk. Where should they be focusing their time? And they can do this in a much more effective and efficient manner with scores. So remember to score your entire portfolio. You want to make sure that you're managing the customers that you already have. So you want to make sure you're focusing in, you're looking at the risk, and you're identifying where you should focus the team. So next steps, start by identifying your need. What's your objective? What are you trying to predict? Find a data technology partner to help you determine the best score model for your customer base. Then score your portfolio, determine where your risk lies, and create a strategy around focusing the team there. And again, implement that strategy with your trusted data technology partner. And please tune in for our next educational session on prioritizing for collections.
Great. Thank you so much, Bonnie and John, for walking us through an overview of portfolio performance and why scores matter. And Matt, I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you for joining our session on portfolio scoring. In case you missed it, you can watch this video at crfonline.org. I also hope you will join us for our third section, which is on collection prioritization, which is scheduled for May 25th of 2021 to be released. Have a great day, folks.